School of Management Studies IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course MMPC 008 Information Systems for Managers for MBA program. Block 4 Support Systems for Management Decisions. Unit 15 Emerging Trends in IT. Part 1.
Introduction. Information technology, as you have seen in Unit 1, means the collection, storage, processing, dissemination, and use of information. For dissemination of information, communication is essential. Persons involved in above activities must have proper skills for the specific tasks to have information system developed, used, and information dissemination. IT departments of organizations should be aware of the technology for proper selection from the choices available for the set goals. At user level, be it personal or business, entire world knows today the importance of information and communication, much so also because of social media and internet applications available through smart devices. Therefore, tools and techniques are always sought to address the issues raised while attempting to utilize these two, that is, information and communication, for developing leverage. Converged and unified communication has enabled faster communication. Convergence of data and voice network enables delivery of revenue-generating services with more and more profits to the organizational business. The same message is delivered with multi-channels, viz. Emailing, SMS, telephone, social media in unified way, and hence brings higher satisfaction to the organization and the customer both. Advent of digital switching systems and updates coming in terms of various versions in the components like hardware, software, communication media have been playing major roles in communication and information dissemination. As a result, we find today much faster tools available to users at lower costs as compared to yesteryears. Whenever the issue of convergence is discussed in the context of information technology, it is essential to refer the convergence of information and communication systems so that devices can be unified for different application services. It is evident that the convergence of technologies will continue to be an important trend and the key to growth for various sectors within the broader technology arena. The potential of new emerging technologies will play a key role in the development of new markets for new systems and with new and innovative ideas in automating processes. E-commerce is the most widely acclaimed practice today. Almost every organization uses today its own website and portals for making business. The entire world has felt how IT was essential and helpful in the pandemic period for almost each and every services towards household commodities, online schooling, virtual meeting, and so on. This was possible with active support of IT tools, especially Internet. This unit is an attempt to touch upon some of these aspects. Objectives. After reading this unit, you should be able to describe the competitiveness of information and communication technology, ICT, with respect to modern business practices and their impact on economies. Describe technology issues involved in convergence with respect to software and hardware requirements and trends. Analyze global market penetration of ICT and prepare strategies for survival. Analyze emerging scenario in e-commerce and describe application of AI, data analysis, and big data from business perspectives. Competitiveness of ICT. User of information and communication technologies have proved as the tools for increasing efficiency levels in all spheres of operations. No organization can stand today without using ICT tools. For evaluating the impact of ICTs, one has to go through the era known for higher industrial growth, that is, later half of the 20th century, in which they have come into widespread use and have been going further with newer versions. The dramatic and continuing liberalization of world trade is indeed a central feature in global economy, and the spread of ICT and goods derived using ICTs has been rapid with an accompanying emphasis on the issue of competitiveness. The word competitiveness is widely used to reflect the growing needs of business enterprises to evaluate their relative position with regard to their domestic competitors in international market and foreign competitors in domestic markets. An enterprise is said to be competitive if it can cut its share in international and domestic markets from its rival. Similarly, the term competitiveness can also be used in the context of national economy to judge whether the nation is moving ahead in building market shares in business sectors that promote economic growth, employment, and other measures of social developments. The use or production of ICT is not itself a principal determinant of social welfare measures like growth or employment, but it does play an important role in the ability of nations to participate in economic activities where growth and employment prospects are more favorable than would be available otherwise. The use of ICTs strengthens the effort of enterprises to achieve higher levels of competitiveness to contribute towards expansion of economic activities promoting growth, employment, and other social developments. Historically, every major change in global economic activities has witnessed a complete transformation of industrial growth patterns involving different processes, practices, and materials yielding explicit gains. In industrial nations, most of these gains had been realized by the first half of the 20th century, owing to rapid industrialization. During the second half of the 20th century, the industrial growth of developing nations may have been constrained by the existence of the productive capacity of already industrialized nations. By the first half of the past century, most of the possible gains from this transformation had been realized in industrialized nations, while developing nations, for many reasons, have experienced difficulties in fully entering this process. The ICTs provide an opportunity for addressing manufacturing productivity advances in developing nations, which would allow a substantial expansion of industrial output. Such output expansion, if large enough, could substantially influence the creation of employment and the creation of wealth. Because ICTs are often labor-saving, a large increase in output is necessary to raise the derived demand for labor through productivity improvement. Otherwise, the impact of ICTs may be to reduce labor inputs, an undesirable and alarming outcome for developing nations if there are not sufficient employment alternatives. Much of this progress has been the direct result of the application of material science to the production of modern ICTs. The earliest and still the most important of these applications is the use of semiconductors for the production of computers, telecommunication equipment, and related electronic devices. Technological improvement in semiconductor technology, as measured by the cost and speed of performing narrowly defined functions, has advanced at rates that were unprecedented for other manufacturing technologies, such as power generation using fossil fuels or improvements in machine operating speeds through improvement in mechanical technology. The rapid advances in technical characteristics, which have also led to dramatic falls in price per unit of performance, have generated optimistic expectations about the contributions of information technology to manufacturing productivity growth. Productivity gains from the use of information technologies involve improved control, smoother integration of production processes, and better control in the acquisition of inputs and the disposition of outputs. Communication technologies play important roles, particularly in coordination of functions such as conveying timely information about inventories and scheduling throughout a distribution system. The productivity gains from ICTs are greatly realized through cost reduction in material inputs, labor, and capital. The relative shares of these reductions may differ across industries and over time, but labor saving is a principal source of cost reduction. In addition, ICTs usually make it possible to produce more or higher quality with the same levels of inputs, resulting in productivity advances that are independent of changes in input use. Growth in the use of ICTs in manufacturing appear to involve greater flexibility and changeover speeds as well as shortened and accelerated flows of materials for processing, work in process, and finished good inventories. These changes suggest a transformation in methods of organizing production systems from traditional models of mass production. The trade-off between the creation of new organizational models and the augmenting of old is essential for evaluating the issue of competitiveness. This is important for all the industries and sectors like manufacturing, education, health, pharmaceuticals, hospital, hospitality, governments, and so on. The use of ICTs have also made it possible to expand other economic activities conventionally referred to as the service sector. The contributions of ICTs in the service area are apparent with the fact that ICTs are a major component in the predominant form of physical capital that service industries employ. It can be said without reservations that ICTs are the tools for productivity improvement in the post-industrial or information society age for achieving higher productivity gains that match or exceed those that have been historically experienced in manufacturing technologies. With such productivity gains, it would be possible to indefinitely sustain the growth of economic output and productivity despite the trend towards a growing share of this output being produced in service sector. The possibility of indefinite growth in the production and consumption of services is encouraging sign for both developed and developing economies. For developed nations, an increasing share of output in services is consistent with increasing investments in human capital or the dispersal of industrial activities domestically and internationally to reduce localized environmental problems. The growth of service provides domestic growth opportunities that can absorb labor displaced by productivity improvements in agriculture and industry, and that are less challenged by imports from developed or other developing nations. The corresponding problem for developing countries is to find ways to upgrade the value and quality of services so that service sector employee experience increasing wages over time. Doing this, of course, requires improvement in the productivity of the service sector. Thus, both developed and developing nations face a common challenge in finding ways to improve service sector productivity. Again, however, it is the issue of organizational change that provides a fundamental barrier to translating the rapid technological advances of ICTs into productivity gains. Developing and implementing the organizational changes would permit ICT used to have the same productivity impact in services as previous organizational changes had in manufacturing sector. For example, in financial services, where the ICTs do not support economies of scale in transactions processing, they also permit the creation of many new services. There are several reasons to believe that developing nations could benefit from productivity improvements in services. First, in developing nations, government often absorb relatively large shares of national output, and most government activities are involved in the delivery of services. Hence, improvements in productivity in government services could free resources from private investment. Second, services are often close to complements to manufacturing. For example, the effectiveness of the retail and distribution sector of an economy influences the growth of manufacturing by providing more efficient market outlets for manufactured output. Third, developing nations are increasingly faced with problems of harmonizing their production systems with the use of ICTs in developed nations so that they can serve as suppliers and subcontractors in an increasingly global division of labor. This process of harmonization requires adoption of ICTs not only at the service level of the firm, such as the front office and the communication links to developed nation suppliers, but also within the production process to control quality and scheduling in ways that are consistent with customer demands. Many of these harmonization problems, nonetheless, are reflected in demands for services that, without the extensive use of ICTs, serve as barriers rather than complements to improvement in international trade and that absorb resources that could otherwise be used directly for production. Fourth, and finally, productivity improvements in both services and manufacturing are worthwhile wherever they may be achieved. Having more output using the same amount of inputs is of benefit in whichever sector it is achieved. To the extent that ICT user achieves greater productivity through releasing labor, the problem is to develop other opportunities for their employment, rather than to lock them into employment patterns where they have low productivity. ICT-intensive retailing activities, the systems that manufacturers employ must increasingly be compatible with the emerging new industrial models based on more intense ICT use. Examples of these developments include the growing emphasis on international quality standards with high levels of information content, the specification of product design using computer-aided design and manufacturing, and the coordination of product delivery such as just-in-time and sales-driven production using high levels of ICT. Developing countries thus have an offensive strategic interest in adopting ICTs to maintain their competitiveness in export markets. Moreover, the liberal international trade environment that has characterized the New World Order offers developing nations access to new markets, although developed countries maintain substantial import barriers in some areas, provided that they open their own markets to import competition. Imports from nations that employ ICTs to augment the flexibility and tighten control of the production process can offer formidable competition even with large differences in wage rates. Competition for domestic markets from exports in developing nations makes it necessary for developing country enterprises to adopt similar tools for achieving flexibility and variety that their competitors in developed and other developing nations are coming to employ. Effective use of ICTs require knowledge from a range of disciplines and the solution of difficult problems of synthesizing technological knowledge and managerial know-how. The absence of well-established models for effectively achieving this synthesis suggests that the creation of substantial variety of knowledge, creating and using capabilities will improve the likelihood of adaptive success in realizing the potentials from ICT use. Many of the problems of implementing the new models of organization require skilled and flexible human resources that can solve a variety of problems. Convergence of IT and consumer electronics. Emerging trends. Information is key to progress in decision making. It is so vital that it has created information age. The decision could be by a person or it could be automated by creating knowledge base from big data. Whenever the issue of convergence is discussed in the context of information technology, it is imperative to refer the convergence of information and communication systems so that devices can be unified for different application services. The third dimension of human needs, which occupies the sphere of modern digital world with equal importance, is entertainment. The landmarks in history of the developments in communication are telephone, radio, and television, with increasing value addition for entertainment over information and communication. The personal computer evolved primarily to address the information processing needs, and it was the only device in chain of the revolutionary products developed which was digital by birth. The fast development in digital technologies paved the way of merger or hybridization of these different generation devices, promoting the preferences for single device to cater information processing, communication, and entertainment needs. This resulted in need-driven efforts for convergence of technologies with an eye to develop innovative consumer products which can provide a common platform for handling different services and applications. The mix of research and development of technologies and innovative product development and design created a new paradigm to ever-increasing urge for value-added products. This process of value addition is creating new dimensions to existing products and setting newer trends for consumer preferences and needs, well supported by convergence of technologies. Seeing the trend in the growth of electronic components used in computers, Gordon E. Moore gave a prediction way back in 1965 that the number of transistors per silicon chip doubles each year. This is known as Moore's Law. In all the computers and smart devices, silicon chips are used. Innovations and further developments have resulted in bringing down the size of the actual product. The concept of large-scale integration, LSI, and further very large-scale integration, VLSI, came into existence, because of which we find today small computing devices and IT tools with tremendous capabilities. The world has seen the convergence of technologies. It will continue to be an important trend and the key to growth for various sectors within the broader technology arena. Use of Internet has penetrated in all the sectors. Automation with Internet of Things, IoT, can be seen with tremendous applications. The potential of new emerging technologies will further play a key role in the development of new markets for new systems and with new and innovative consumer electronic products. The innovations are more rapidly seen in home networking, home appliances, games, Bluetooth devices, digital imaging, digital entertainment platforms, wireless technologies, and digital radio receivers. Similar is the case with gaming, defense, agriculture, transport, and hospital industries. One major aspect related to the above innovative technologies is to develop seamless wireless connections between small, multifunctional devices in the home. The signal processing technology is playing tremendous role for digital audio, video, cell phones, machine learning, broadband, and wireless communications. In fact, signal processing has given a number of tools for deep learning and statistical analysis. Data science has become a separate discipline for mining, analyzing, and decision making. The expansion of broadband and high-speed wireless networks have proved to be a key factor in the present and seems to continue in future proliferation of IT products to be used by common people in daily life. Fiber connectivity at home with internet applications like iTV clubbed with Bluetooth devices are providing endless services. It is expected that more content made available over such networks and more engaging applications for the user will lead to the development of larger commercial markets. Most of the advances in this direction will lead to developments in consumer electronic products in which convergence of different technologies and applications will come up as natural process. The consumer electronics industry, in short, is entering a new era based on the promise of utilizing broadband and wireless technologies to promote the more widespread use of electronic devices. Advanced in microelectronics further enhances the potential for consumer electronic devices to proliferate and be utilized well beyond what is in the market today. The personal computer led to a revolution in terms of how data could be managed and manipulated. The Internet enhanced this function by providing direct access to more data. Mobile, wireless, and wideband provide the consumer with all the above in more places with greater access. The trend is leading many markets that were traditionally separate on a competitive collision course. Convergence trend has also been leading both hardware and software companies to become both hardware and software companies. Systems are open to share contents and associated resources. Digital technology is going further with the developments keeping in view the ease of operations with more and more features made available to users. Smartphones and devices with Android and iOS are playing major roles in connecting person with friends, family, and groups globally. This trend will further go with more features and with the device size. We find desktop computers, laptops, and all other handheld devices such as tablets and smartphones useful in transmitting downloaded content to the TV. In fact, we also find TV bypassing the computers entirely and getting its content by using set-top box supplied by the internet service providers. Video on demand is possible at any time with just a click of button. Such a trend of convergence has provided an advantage to hardware makers over software companies and those that excel at branding and the farming out production to other firms. New emerging technologies feature new innovative products with a focus on the convergence and consumer adoption of 4G, highlighting the growth potential after the success of 3G and GSM. 5G is already available in developed countries and going to be adopted by other countries also in near future. India has already announced for its implementation in phased manner. In such countries, wireless phone owners preferred converged wireless phone PDA devices to multiple standalone products capable of performing the same functions. More advanced phones are made for more advanced networks. Many advances in wireless technologies are seen for next-generation wireless system, such as smartphones with high-definition screens, multiple camera functionalities, and those with slim sizes and secured features and facilities. This has resulted due to better, faster networks being set up and strong demand from consumers. In the field of communication, the Public Switched Telephone Network (PSTN) was designed to accommodate a single application, that is, the voice communication. It was not built for services such as data and video. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, the rapid growth of distributed processing and the Internet changed the telephone world. Internet congestion overloaded PSTN circuits, and carriers were forced to invest in additional PSTN capacity, which was expensive and cumbersome task. The characteristics and bandwidth demands of data transmission were not suited for the circuit-switched PSTN. The packet-switched network accommodated the rapid growth and bandwidth requirements of data traffic more efficiently than the circuit-switched architecture. As carriers developed the packet-based infrastructure to support the increasing data-centric traffic, the next logical step was to carry voice traffic on that same network. The convergence of voice and data networks enabled the delivery of advanced revenue-generating services which were not feasible in the circuit-switched environment. TCP or IP protocols with advancement in addressing techniques have played significant role in Internet applications. It will further require innovative developments to take care of secured communications and transactions over Internet. Network signaling is critical to the delivery of services in converged networks. The standard signaling technology, Signaling System 7 (SS7), allows PSTN network nodes to communicate directly with one another and to share the information needed to process any type of call autonomously. SS7 is a reliable, self-healing network architecture and protocol that manages voice circuit functions on a separate, fully redundant, packet-based network. It is widely deployed in both wireline and wireless networks worldwide. In addition to managing call setup and teardown, SS7 enables services such as toll-free and toll-wire line services and local number portability (LNP). Enhanced call features like call forwarding, calling name delivery, and three-way calling, as well as business systems, including customer care and billing, are all enabled by SS7 signaling. Likewise, services such as internet call waiting, prepaid calling, calling party pays, internet roaming, and wireless web browsing requires the support of SS7 signaling. Users have the ability to control how, when, and with whom they communicate. The new generation of services will focus on secured communication with personal identity, mobility, presence management, and multimedia or multi-party communication with virtual reality. The ability to mine the signaling data to support business systems such as billing and fraud control will prevail as a requirement. The generations in wireless spectrum from GSM to 3G to 4G and now 5G have provided communication through airwaves. Each generation provides better speed to share data, voice, and videos over the network. The latest being 5G is supposed to be nearly 100 times faster than 4G with super high frequency airwaves. Virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality AR are another applications which will have more penetration in the fields like gaming, education, and businesses. Augmented reality simulates artificial objects in the real environment, whereas virtual reality creates an artificial environment to stay in the place using simulation. The technologies will go a long way to make a profound impact.
We were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program, course code MMPC 008, Information Systems for Managers. Course Coordinator, Professor Anurag Saxena, School of Management Studies IGNOU. Voiceover by Renuka. Edited by Uday Sharma. Program assisted by Jagbandhu Jana. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.